Now we're going to have a quick video. Actually, it's a 5-minute spiritual workshop that's going to be presented by HwAw at Work. Armando is going to give us the quick principles of it, and he promises that we'll be able to get on break immediately after this good, spiritually fulfilling experience.
We have on your tables a small brochure called Spiritual Strategy, and that's what we do. It says in the front, I realize my job is to create an environment that will help my employees find their way to heaven. This was said by a business leader that we worked with. So what's the role of the business leader in human ecology? How do we bring his way at work in the business world? And somebody was saying yesterday, in a society lacking virtues, what can business leaders do? Somebody else said yesterday as well, we cultivate virtue through purpose. Virtues are acquired through practice. So we went around companies and we collected best practices. Good habits, what works. We documented them, we organized them, and we make them available to business leaders. And this is a spiritual strategy workshop that will take a very few minutes. We start by showing there needs to be a previous work when we go into a company. We need to make sure there's purpose, so that why the company exists. We need to make sure there's a mission statement that talks about what the company does day in and day out. And then we need to have the core values clearly stated. Not 15, but 3, 4, or 5, so we can memorize them. For each core value, we generate what we call behaviors. Because we cannot measure values, but we can measure behaviors. And what gets measured gets done. So those behaviors then will help us to work on what we call the caring matrix. And over here you're going to see that we have employees, families, and communities, and physical, emotional, and spiritual. These 9 boxes are filled up with what we call caring activities. The programs that we go, or we went, or we are still going around visiting companies and see what are their best practices. And we classify those best practices in this caring matrix. Why? You will see there's an arrow from the lower left corner to the upper right corner. Because if we see a man on the side of the road who's hungry and cold, and we throw him a Bible, he's going to burn the Bible to get warm. What we need to do is we need to do it in a progression. We found that companies, pretty much all the companies, have some sort of caring activities. It's inherent to the business leader to also love, most of them. But many of them are working on the community spiritual quadrant. And there was a business leader who once told me, this works really well, but I have my executive team come with me to a cancer center down the street, but if I don't go, nobody goes. And that's because we need to work first with our employees. We need to love our employees first, then their families, then the communities, first on the physical, then the emotional, to get to the spiritual part, and that's the spiritual strategy. So what we do is step 1, we do an inventory. All companies already have some sort of caring activities. And then step 2, I also like number 1, 2, 3. We align where the gaps are, and we see where the behaviors line up with those caring activities. We fill the gaps. We can do that. You can do that with your own pamphlet. And then we see how it looks. To then go in the back of your pamphlet over here, you're going to see these are caring activities. Just a sample of caring activities. And they are classified in the family, employee, family, or community, physical, emotional, and spiritual, so that we can fill the gaps. And we can also align them with our behaviors. Each company will have different core values and different behaviors. And then for each caring activity, we have a small brochure with guidelines, what works, what doesn't work. And you're going to say, that's good. Does it work to invest in our employees? And one of our business leaders that we work with says, I don't know, doesn't it make sense to think that if your employees are engaged and fulfilled and happy, the company will be more productive? It just makes sense. So in some instances, we measure what has happened with companies that have implemented what we call His Way at Work. And not to say that this is the reason they do it, but as a byproduct, they become very productive. And today here we have 2 business leaders with us who have implemented our methodology. I would say their methodology, because it's nothing but a collection of business leaders. And Mary Beth Zutkowski and Duncan Taylor, they can tell you a little bit about us. So that's pretty much who we are. We're a nonprofit organization, funded, run, and for business leaders. We may become an association, God knows. This is hyper-simplified what we do. We're in 7 countries, over 100 companies. We've touched over 100,000 employees. Thank you.